Hey, whoa, it's Friday. What a show we got lined up for you. It's Rumor and Innuendo. I'm Dominic D'Angelo, and I am with Mr. Robert Karpelis, Deputy Creative _ish. TGF to you, Robert. We got some news to talk about, don't we?
Is it the fact that you're not wearing sleeves? Because that's not particularly newsworthy. Does that mean it's not snowing today?
It's not snowing. It is really cold out, though. I was just at the gym, so I got a good, I got the blood flowing. Robert, so I feel
Dom,
pretty
I'm going to
good.
point out something fascinating. You're holding a handheld microphone, so when you're moving your hand like that and it's not near the microphone, nobody can hear what you're saying.
Interesting. All right, I'll have to make mental note of that.
That's why we're here. We'll also we're here to say hi to the folks joining us live. E says, "What's up?"
What's up,
Willie
E?
Thornbrew says, "Random thought: Is Judgment Day the only WWE faction to continue for so long without any of its original members?" Um,
That's a good
that
question.
that is interesting. I don't know. It's
Because,
very possible.
nobody. Finn's the only one, right?
Finn wasn't an original member. No, Finn turned heel to
That's
join.
correct.
Yes, it was Priest, Rhea, and Edge.
Wow. Okay. Wow.
And
That's
then
something.
Willie Thornbrew asks, "Does the Netflix merger ruin Tony Khan's day?" I don't think the merger has any impact on his cocaine, so I think he'll be. I'm joking. It might. Johnny Disco says, "Good day, R&I. Where will AEW? Where will AEW go if Netflix gets WB or WWE gets kicked to the digital curb? So many questions and how this merger will shake out and if it happens." Uh, Cammy Star says, "Forget Monday Night Wars. It's time for Netflix War, which is not quite as good as Tech War."
No. Tech War. Was
Uh,
that one of the robotic movie or shows?
it was William Shatner series,
Oh, Tech War.
and
You
yeah,
got
there's a lot. I'll leave it on this one. Ribshot says, "Has Brett said anything recently?" Um,
Hey, Ripshot. They do good content on YouTube. Check out their channel. They're awesome. They do the cartoon stuff. It's great. Um, Robert, let's talk about it. Big deal went down.
First of all, Lou4237 brought the best comment of the day, and he
Uh huh.
wins.
Judgment
Judgment
Day.
Day as a ship of Theseus analogy. Well
Ooh.
done. And so yeah, that's about it. I guess we'll talk about SmackDowns tonight. That's
Yes.
probably the big headline story going on here today.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Big
or
headline.
or there's a comment here, something that says Cena is not perfect. I don't even know what this is, but
Yeah, we'll get there. We'll get there.
is there a bigger story than a random John Cena quote?
Probably not. I was trying to look, but we do have the Netflix news.
That was what I was built. Jeez, Tom, I'm begging.
We happen to. Did you know? Are you familiar with this platform called Netflix, Robert? Uh, they happen to acquire Warner Brothers. They made Who Framed Roger Rabbit. They will enter an exclusive negotiating period with Warner Brothers Discovery after outbidding Paramount. And what was the other entity that they bid out? They
There
took
was a
out.
Saudi entity that was looking to try to acquire Warner as well.
Oh my goodness. Well, they outbid both of them, and now they're in the exclusive negotiating period to iron out some details of the sale. But that process is far from over. Paramount actually issued, I think, 2 complaints regarding this, saying that this is a monopoly happening, and so they went straight to President and former or current WWE Hall of Famer Donald Trump, potentially to stop this deal from happening, maybe in the grand scheme of it all. Robert, where do you see this shaking out? First off, and then we'll talk about the ramifications for WWE and AEW after the fact.
Well, I think it depends on how Netflix is going to approach the purchase. I think the from what I've seen loosely, the intent is they're going to split this up into a few different companies to try to avoid the monopoly claims.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, Warner is in the position that it's in because of a number of terrible decisions business wise over the last 25 plus years, part of which involved WCW.
Absolutely.
The AOL Time Warner merger was one of those poison pills that did ultimately lead to the end of World Championship Wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
They just the money just wasn't there. Warner Discovery was merging all the Warner properties along with all of the Discovery properties, so Discovery Channel and Food Network and HGTV and all of that. And they tried to launch two platforms, the Discovery Plus platform and HBO Max, and it just overpopulated an already overpopulated marketplace. And what we've seen specifically with AEW is there did not seem to be a single coherent plan for HBO Max and how that was going to work and exist. And then the branding it from HBO Max to go run back to HBO Max. It's slightly hilarious.
Very a comedy of errors in many ways. Robert, the complaint that Paramount filed about it being a monopoly, my question as a novice would be like, if Paramount won the bidding war, wouldn't they be a monopoly?
It depends. Well, again, it's a good argument for anybody to make. Is you just scream that it's a monopoly, and then you're sort of forcing the hand of the government to have to look into whether or not this should continue.
Uh-huh.
So Paramount's claim that this is a monopoly is a little bit not passing the straight face test.
Right, right.
But it's
So,
it's sour grapes, and if they won and someone else would have claimed this is a monopoly, then who knows? I think that the lack of answers, the mounting questions that are going on right now are why this is going to be a lot to untangle.
mhm,
Given how successful Warner has been just in this last year with some of their movie slates and profitability, it's going to be weird to see. I think that there's concern on the film end
yeah.
that Netflix makes its money by streaming,
Mhm,
and Warner releases things in physical theaters. So obviously, everyone in the theater chain ecosystem is going to be watching and concerned, and everybody that feeds into that. So all of your large vendors, Coca Cola, Mars, your popcorn, but all these things have trickle down effects. So it depends on whose lobby is going to be the most successful and whose ear they're going to be able to bend. In the wrestling world, it is this bizarre universe where Warner Discovery airs AEW programming, Netflix obviously airs WWE programming. The rubber's going to hit the road potentially.
do you see this like being bad for both companies potentially, WWE and AEW?
Bad in what way?
Bad and maybe like that. Well, I guess I guess now that I think about for WWE, it might not be bad, but most ultimately bad for AEW that they already have WWE, so let's get rid of it. You know.
Well, so the challenge that AEW found themselves in, unlike with WWE, is AEW is single threaded. All
Hmm.
AEW content is tied to Warner Discovery. So TBS, TNT, HBO Max. They don't have an independent streaming service. Their library for AEW content is available to some extent on the Warner Discovery platform, and that's it.
Hmm.
WWE, if Netflix tomorrow says, "Hey, we're done with you guys. Sorry," WWE's got plenty of other options that they can pivot and move to. Obviously, with NXT being part of the CW,
Hmm.
you've got SmackDown as part of the USA Network, their relationship with ESPN. They can go back to a relationship with Peacock or a relationship with Hulu.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. No. th- I mean, how concerned would you be for Tony if you were Tony Khan?
Well, he just signed a deal with Warner Discovery last year.
Hmm.
And I'm going to assume that their lawyers put in appropriate language relating to an assignment clause in the event that either company is purchased or acquired, that the contract is still going to be honored in some form or fashion. So either the new Warner Discovery entity is going to honor the contract that was signed, and they're going to air AEW content, and Warner Discovery, for all its, whatever, has been happy with this is pulling in ratings for them. It's drawing advertising revenue for them. Even if it's 600, 700,000 viewers, it's still a live television show that audiences are showing up for. They're able to sell advertising for. The other part of that is they just pay AEW to go away. And then
Wow.
AEW goes and finds a home someplace else. It is possible, again, we're spitballing and hypothesizing, we know nothing of nothing, that AEW could potentially go find a home with Paramount. Paramount has a streaming app. Paramount has a channel on cable television. They they have deep pockets. They have, in a lot of ways, a direct line to the Oval Office. So they have a lot of the same benefits potentially that Warner Discovery does.
Is AEW an enticing enough product for Paramount to scoop up, though? That's the question. I always think about that with Suits when it comes to like how they view pro wrestling. Not only that, but I mean, like AEW, is not as hot as it used to be either.
They're not, but Paramount, obviously had the WWE deal for years.
Mm-hmm.
They had, at one point when they had Spike, they had TNA. When WWE, we went from the national network, the Nashville network, to the national network. Part of that transition initially was on the back of ECW
Right.
and roller jam,
Rollerball.
roller jam.
Roller Jam. That's what it was.
Yeah, yes. When it became the national network, their number one show by far was Monday Night Raw.
Mm-hmm.
It led them to rebrand to Spike and go to bring in TNA. And then Paramount now has the Paramount Network. They have their streaming platform, and they're going to be getting UFC in 2026. Now,
True.
UFC, owned by TKO, but a rising tide lifts all boats. So if AEW is going to bring eyeballs to the Paramount platform, it's going to bring more money in, which then they can spend more money on UFC.
So you didn't there wouldn't be a conflict of interest on that end, like from
It really depends. It's, again, the entire landscape is totally in flux right now.
Mm-hmm.
The terms of WWE's streaming deals with all these different platforms, we don't know if there's any sort of exclusivity saying you're not allowed to bring in another wrestling show on there. That was sort of the basis of a lawsuit that occurred with them and a company whose name we don't discuss.
Yes.
So, it's gonna be really, really interesting over the next few weeks. Number one, if the government intervenes and tries to say this is monopoly and block it, I don't know what that helps or gets anybody.
True. Yeah.
Because it's not like all of a sudden Warner's going to suddenly find legs and they're going to stand on their own again.
Right. Right. Yeah.
And Warner's already a collection of so many different little portions and pieces. You go on HBO Max or whatever it is, and you see all the different divisions. You're now talking about how DC is in theory under the same umbrella as Netflix. They can now start developing DC programming for Netflix. What does it mean for HBO Max going forward and all of their programming content? What does it mean for linear HBO going forward, or TBS and TNT? They've all sort of coexisted in an ecosystem. You look at Chuck Lorre,
Mm-hmm.
and he made programming for Netflix that was licensed through Warner. His Kaminsky Method show was actually a Warner Brothers show that aired on there.
Mm. Wow. What a wild, wild landscape this all is. And it's just, we're going in uncharted territory.
You know
When
who
it
the
comes
big winner is?
Who's that, Robert?
TNA.
Mm.
Getting that AMC deal signed before this all landed.
Yeah.
I think that now if there was a possibility that AMC could have run in and grabbed AEW, they may have tried to make that play.
It's a good point, right? Wow. Yeah. Hey, man. Craziness.
This is, by the way, this is why wrestling is the greatest single thing to ever like watching. Because it's how you learn so many different nuances and facets of things going on in the world simply by being a wrestling fan. The
That's it.
bulk of my legal knowledge for decades stemmed from being a wrestling fan, understanding what a most favored nations clause was in 1996 as a 13-year-old, learning music rights, building right deals, licensing. The fact that more of us don't have law degrees simply from growing up in the Attitude Era is astonishing, Dom.
That's crazy to think because if it wasn't for pro wrestling, I would not care about TV deals and streaming deals and where's going this. I'd just watch stuff. But wrestling brings it to another level where you're breaking it down and what the ramification could be for this promotion or that promotion. It's wild stuff.
It's going to be really interesting to see. And I think as soon as this suddenly moved from Paramount to Netflix,
Mm-hmm.
everyone's ears went up and went like, oh, This went from very, very good for Tony Khan to potentially very, very bad. And Tony has been, kind of running his mouth of late.
Yeah. I did want to ask you too. Shoot, lost my train of thought. That when would all this stuff kind of take effect? It would be further down the line throughout the year, right? I mean, in 2026 later on, I think is how I
I
would
think
see.
that the intent is that by Q3 of 2026, the dust will have settled. But the one thing they learned from the Warner Discovery merger is not to rush into this and not to do a big thing badly, because that was a big thing done badly.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And there are now so many additional elements and pieces in the works.
Yes.
Wrestling Old Head asked, do you practice in different states or just Florida? So, nuanced legal question. I'll give the nuanced legal answer. As an attorney,
Ooh,
you are allowed to practice within the state that you have a license in. So
ooh.
you pass that state's bar, you get a license, and you can hold licenses in more than one state as long as they remain active. Or in my case, because I'm an in-house counsel, I am in theory able to practice anywhere in the country using my Florida license.
Well, how about that? So if I ever run into some legal trouble,
No,
I
no,
can.
no. In my capacity as an in-house counsel, if I needed to represent you in Pennsylvania for something,
Uh-huh.
there's other methods. But
Oh,
Dom, you can't afford me. Um,
oh,
my time is valuable. That's why I only commit 30 minutes a day to sit here
oh!
and
I
talk
see.
all the exciting things of professional wrestling. Um, Warner Breeze said maybe Meltzer can tell Netflix the importance of star ratings.
Yes, ooh, yeah, that is a valuable asset to think about too. Uh, hey, are we gonna have some value on SmackDown tonight? They're hailing from Austin, Texas. The
Austin,
Moose Head.
Massachusetts.
Austin, Massachusetts.
It's fitting that John Cena's last opponent would be determined in beautiful Austin, Massachusetts, where he's
Yes.
grown up for years.
Mhm.
Um, there's, from where I sit, there's three important questions that SmackDown needs to really answer tonight.
Okay.
First, obviously, is the who John Cena's last opponent is going to be, Gunther, and then the second question is what are they going to do with Cody? Because
Mm.
we know that it's going to most likely be Cody and Roman. That seems to be the path that we are treading down for WrestleMania. We are in December. Are they going to kind of sunset the title for the rest of the year like we saw on Monday Night Raw, where they said, all right, Braun Breaker is going to face CM Punk in January.
Yeah.
So the rest of 2025, Punk is home with the title, whether he's on TV or not. Like he's not defending that title between now and sometime in January. Are they going to do the same thing with Cody, where he's just going to kind of coast? I had made the pitch on Working Stiff, and Dre Owens threw it up there with Cody versus Aleister Black, where you can pay off the Aleister Black Damian Priest feud in some sort of number one contenders match, and let Aleister Black be sort of a placeholder challenger for Cody's undisputed title, potentially at Royal Rumble. Rumble, said this for many years, the world title match at the Royal Rumble is very much a lame duck match. It's been Kevin Owens a couple times. The one everyone likes to point to is the Brock Lesnar Hardcore Holly match.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
But it's a chance to test it out. People are not tuning into the Royal Rumble for the world title match. They're tuning in solely to watch those two Royal Rumble matches.
Right. Right.
So you can kind of test the waters a little bit and give somebody who's somewhat of a lesser challenger an opportunity, and it's not going to deter anybody from buying a ticket or tuning in. Though, given the fact that this is in Riyadh, ticket purchase is not really a major issue for them.
That's a good point. Well, I completely forgot that Royal Rumble was in Saudi Arabia.
So I think that's sort of issue number two. The third question is where do they go with Drew McIntyre? So
Yeah.
Drew, part of the winning team at War Games, going back to Drew McIntyre and Cody after we've now seen it several times, does not feel like overly compelling television. But at the same time, you can't have Drew fall down the card.
Mhm.
I guess if you needed to marry him to somebody, Sami Zayn doesn't have anything to do since Sami lost Survivor Series, and now the MFTs have moved on to the Wyatt
Wyatt.
Six.
Hmm. Boy, yeah, no, it's trying to think. I mean, could you do something with the Masked Man and Cody? I mean, would that make any sense?
No, because the Masked Man is Theory, and that's Vision, and that's Raw. And
Hmm.
looks like Logan Paul is teeing up for a feud with Rey Mysterio.
Right,
So
right,
Cody definitely doesn't seem to have a dance partner. And there is a world where, hey, it's going to be the end of the year. Let's just coast into the end of the year. But I can also see them saying, well, we want to get one more big match before Rumble.
for sure, for sure. Yeah, that those are several questions that need to be answered. I think tonight. Hopefully, we'll get them. We'll see. So you're all for Gunther here. It's no chance LA Knight wins.
No. LA Knight, given his age, given his position over the last year, there is no benefit to LA Knight wrestling John Cena.
Hmm.
None. It's not like it's debatable. It's not like, well, maybe he's going to get the rub. He's not a young guy, so he's not getting the young guy rub. He's not held back, so he's getting the held back rub. There is no history with him and Cena where it makes it a good payoff. It's all Gunther all the time.
Okay. I mean, that on paper too, that's a better match. So we'll have to take a look. Cena though, he did talk about his farewell tour. He spoke with Bill Simmons about this actually, and he doesn't really have any regrets of how it, or at least he says he doesn't have any regrets of how this all panned out. He says, I don't think there's a single thing I would have changed, and I like that it isn't perfect, meaning his run. I like the parts change, dates in other cities change. The last one isn't in Boston. It would be perfect if, no, life isn't perfect. You just do the best you can with what you got. I personally like all that stuff. Something as simple as in my last title defense, having Liv Morgan assist and beat me in the same way that I turned on Cody, but she did it better than me. Just being able to be like, wait, you're going to get a callback to this moment in February and November? Just wait for it. Robert, do you agree with Cena's sentiments? It's okay that it's not that perfect. And what do you think about his
John
farewell?
Cena is the most corporate who's ever corporated, and I love that. I love that he's going to toe the line and he's going to say, "Look, could it's the old Vince McMahon thing of it's not going on TV because it's good. It's going on TV because it's 9 p.m." Which he actually stole from Lorne Michaels, and that's fine.
Oh,
But the reality is, John Cena's entire career has been built on imperfection. There have been so many changed plans and altered decisions that he just knows to roll with it. And by the way, what good would there be if he goes on Bill Simmons' podcast and goes, "Yeah, they really botched this last run. This is awful."
yeah.
That's not who he is. He's not that guy. And he's not going to suddenly become that guy, Bret Hart. He's not going to just start going on podcasts and like ranting about, man, they made me wrestle Great Khali. Ain't going to happen.
Ain't gonna happen. Did you
He's
hear too? Kali's coming back. Apparently, he's got one more match somewhere.
I did not hear that.
That's true. It's. I was looking at headlines, and that was one of them. But I was like, oh,
How we
Khali.
didn't leave now I got to look this up. Is this a last match in WWE or
No, no. I think he's having a match somewhere else. I'm
so the
assuming.
thing about Khali is he's genuinely an overstar where he lives. Like he is
Hmm.
a big deal.
Yes.
And he's a very generous person with the fans that are there, the wrestlers that work on shows that he's at. I know Dan St. Germain's a big fan of his Instagram. I guess he posts funny things on there. I don't know. So I'm hoping that Kali and Goldberg both get their last match.
Well, here it is, Robert. It's the Continental Wrestling Entertainment, which is based out of Punjab, India, and the promotion is run by WWE Hall of Famer Great Khali. So this is his promotion. He's got the show is scheduled for January 25th, and he will be taking on Parker Bordeaux, from former WWE and AEW talent. That will be his return match.
Yeah. So Parker Bordeaux, for those of you who don't remember, was mini Brock Lesnar.
Yes.
He was the dude that people saw him. They're like, oh, what's the deal with this kid? He came from UCF, I believe. Played football for Central
Yes.
Florida, and people were like, "That dude looks like the next Brock Lesnar," and that's kind of where the comparison stopped.
Yeah, it kind of
Didn't
works.
supposedly have the greatest attitude. Here's where we are.
That can happen sometimes for sure. But,
It can happen, but what's also happening is I have to step away because I got to go.
ooh,
I got something coming up in a few minutes professionally that I got to go deal with.
mm.
So I'm going to wrap this up early if that's all right with you all. But fear not, for we will be back on Monday, as we are every Monday through Friday at noon Eastern on a plethora of platforms, including the WW Creative _ISH X account, the at Dominic D'Angelo X account, the at SE Scoops X account, and on YouTube on Rumor and Innuendo, Podcast Heat, and ad-free shows. And much like Dom's sleeves, we're cutting it short. So we will be back on Monday. Until then, best of luck in your future endeavors.
Stay warm out there, kiddos. Oh, we don't have